Welcome to Scale Her Up, the show for female business owners and leaders who want to grow profitable, sustainable businesses without burning out. I'm Dr. Brenda Hector, a business growth specialist helping women develop themselves and their businesses so they can achieve their goals and enjoy the lifestyle they dream of. In each episode, you'll hear inspiring stories, honest conversations, and practical strategies to help you start, grow, or scale your business. If you're new here, hit follow and don't miss an episode. And come and join our Scale Her Up Facebook community to keep the conversation going. Today, I'm delighted to have Gayle Thomson, who is Employer Engagement Advisor at the Careers and Employability Service at Aberdeen, the University of Aberdeen. A bit of a different guest from my usual guests, but I think as the conversation goes, people will realise why what you've got to say is important for business owners, Gayle. So thank you. Welcome to Scale Her Up.
Thank you. Glad to be here. I've listened to so many podcasts, so it's interesting to be on the other side.
I think you must be one of my top fans. Yeah. No, it's really good to have you. Maybe just a bit of we all know what the University of Aberdeen does, but a bit more context to your role in the career service there.
Yeah, sure. So my role is Employer Engagement Advisor, which basically means that I work with employers to find opportunities for students. I always give a bit of a context in terms of my previous role. So I was a careers advisor at the Robert Gordon University. So I was there for 22 years, and careers advisor, everybody knows, is giving careers advice. So that was to students, frontline, and also timetabled in various courses. And within that role, I did a little bit of employer engagement. So part of the schools that I looked after, I organised a pharmacy fair, a nursing fair, life sciences networking, for example. So the contrast with that role, having done 22 years frontline, is now I'm not frontline with students, but I'm working for the benefit of students. And in this role, it's all employer engagement. So all the networking, the events, the engagement with employers for a range of opportunities is what this role entails. The career service itself obviously still gives that careers advice to students, but there's a whole amazing team of careers advisors who support the students within different caseloads on a one-to-one basis. And again, like I was at RGU, timetabled into certain classes. But my role is the strategy for the university is to increase the number of work-based learning opportunities for students. So there's a pretty new team was established. So I became part of that 2.5 years ago. So there's 3 of us working across 12 different schools, 4 schools each, but also with a remit for the whole university to increase work-based learning. I can talk a little bit more about the types of work-based learning if that's of interest.
Well, let's just go back to the benefit of work-based learning and why the university thinks that's so important for their students.
Yeah, so for employability, so students basically, certain courses in the university have core placements, so our medical science students and also our education students, so placements are integral to that. In certain other courses and pockets of the university, again, placements are key, but for the majority of courses, it's not. And the university recognises that there is a need there for students to engage with the workplace, to get real life experience, to increase their skills, their potential, to let them taste and work experience to see if it's something they do want to go into or to decide if it's not. And overall, just that benefit to their employability so that when they graduate from the university, they've got that experience on their CV.
So I suppose one of the key performance indicators of a university is that its graduates are in relevant employment. What's the measure, 6 months or a year after graduation?
It was 6 months previously. It's now 15 months.
Okay.
So there's a graduate outcomes survey, and that looks at destinations of our graduates in terms of the role that they're doing, the sectors they're working in, and yes, the relativity to their qualification.
So the more experience they get while they're going through their studies, the more likely they are to be suitably qualified with the experience that's going to get them into those roles.
Ideally, yeah. That's the thinking.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the university does want to look at work placements. That will be a long-term vision, but that involves quite a lot of curricular change. So what we're trying to look at is how to maximise the time that students have alongside their current curriculum, their timetable. So it's looking at volunteering, looking at part-time jobs, looking at part-time, term time internships, looking at them making the most of their summer, looking at one-day shadowing opportunities, having a mentor. So all of that. And many students will take on board all of the above that we've described. And ultimately, that will help them when they are looking for that ultimate graduate job, which we're also looking for. So all of those opportunities is what we work within our role to gather for the university and for our students.
But it's a win-win, really.
Absolutely.
So when these students are spending time in businesses getting work-based experience, there's a benefit to those businesses as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
Yeah.
the part-time, term time internships, that is a program that we run. So as Brenda, you've had an intern. So it's part-time, term time internships, 70 hours, working for 7 weeks, 10 hours per week, working with particularly small to medium-sized enterprises, working with social enterprise, working with charities. We've got key sectors that we fund in terms of, we fund SMEs, we fund third sector, but we also look at funding for organisations that can offer creative cultural opportunities, nature, health and well-being. So we're looking basically at sectors that students typically would find it hard to get paid employment in, and for organisations that would typically find it fairly difficult to recruit and fund an intern. So my job is very easy because I can go to employers, to third sector, to employers like yourself and SMEs and say, we've got some funding, would you be interested? So in terms of this month, we had students, or sorry, this term, we do term time engagement. So term 1, it's from November to January, term 2, March to May. So we're into week 3 of the term 1 internship. So I do a initial first week check-in, a midpoint check-in, and the midpoint check-ins have just been as of the first. Super. So employers are really getting a lot out of their interns. So it's an absolute win. And that's what I say to employers from the start. But as soon as you mention there's funding, then the employers' eyes open, particularly third sector as well, because they are struggling for funding. So yeah, it's an absolute win. So the students come out really positive. Some students are kept on, like you kept your intern on, which was fabulous. Quite a number have done that. And the third sector interns typically stay on because they've made that connection with the charity. So they stay on as a volunteer. So there's lots of really good positive stories coming from the internships in particular.
Let's just talk a wee bit about my experience then, because it was all about the podcast.
Absolutely.
It was about this podcast. And I was lucky enough to find Kellyanne, who helped me with really raising the visibility of the podcast and really increased the downloads that I've been getting. She helped with editing and creating the blurb and really getting it out there. She was amazing. Did her internship, and she was so good I decided that I would continue to pay her myself and she would keep doing that for me. She's just moved on, actually.
Okay.
She's got another, she's actually in the right place in her career rather than doing a bit of part-time for me. But anybody who listens, I don't know if you've listened to it, Gayle, she interviewed me.
Yes, I have. It was
Podcast,
amazing.
on the podcast for the 100th episode. So yeah, she's been it was an opportunity to find somebody that could really help me take that next step. It meant that I'd found somebody good that I could trial, and if it didn't work out, I didn't need to keep her, but it did work, and she's been amazing. And I know of a few other businesses or charities that have worked with your interns that have got similar great rave things to say about it. So yeah, I think it's great. But actually, if you think about the graduates coming into business, it's the new blood that are coming into any business in any sector. And if the businesses that are going to employ them don't support them to be good employees, then, where does that take? It's just, that would be a missing link in society, I think.
Absolutely. And most employers are receptive. So I talk to lots of employers, lots of networking. It's about timing, it's about capacity to supervise a student. So most people are keen initially, and then it's the ones who've got the right, as I say, the right timing, the right role for the student, and the right capacity to supervise them. So it works really well if all those things are in place. So yeah, spread the word. And I heard Kelly's, I didn't know it was going to be her on the 100th episode, and I was just delighted. I was walking to work with a big grin on my face because I just thought that's just so amazing. And she's a graduate now, so she was in her 4th year when you had her. Yeah. So obviously she's going to go on to other things, but it's open to all students. It's open to 1st to 4th year. It's open to master's students. An employer could get a 2nd, 3rd year student who then could be on an ongoing basis part-time. And lots of SMEs. So DX Media, I've had Arch 35, Highland Moss, Urban Wellness, Fit IQ, and all had really positive experiences, lots of charities. I've worked a lot with creative and cultural. Jazz Scotland have got one at the moment, Sound Festival, Belmont Cinema. So it's all the sort of local names that you hear of that really need this input and are really benefiting from it. So delighted to work with any future employers. Please just get in touch.
Anything that you would want to say to somebody that's going, oh, I don't know if that's right for me? What advice do you have?
Have a conversation. It's 70 hours, it's 10 hours a week. It's very flexible. It works around the student's curriculum and your timing. It's very administrative light from the employer perspective. So basically you initially apply. We select, and if you're one of those selected, we advertise your vacancy for you. We shortlist for you. We look at all the CVs and cover letters. We've got a very tight rubric, and the team are on board. And for a week, the whole team shortlists. You get your 5 selected candidates. We, behind the scenes, organise your interviews based on the dates you've previously given us. So there's no going back and forth with students. It's very streamlined. So basically, from the point of application to the point of interview, we do all the admin. You then interview the student and you offer the student that is your top choice. You reject nicely the others with some constructive feedback. And then basically they start with you. We do an induction with them so that all the interns feel they're part of one programme and they're guided in workplace etiquette, professionalism, etc. They do an ABDN development programme, which means that they do a midpoint reflection, initial reflection, a midpoint and a final reflective piece. And we pay the students. So there's no payroll obligation for yourself. There's no contractual obligation. It's a bursary payment. And that's aligned to the student's midpoint payment. So at the moment, students are at midpoint. So we're saying, please touch base with us, fill in your programme. That's your payment. And then a final payment with their final reflective piece. So really light administrative, no contract, no payroll. At the end, there's an evaluation from the employer, from the student, which we do take on board every year. We have tweaked the programme based on that. And there's a very nice celebration event that you kindly spoke at last springtime. So it's a really nice event for you to network with other employers. The students are there, they get their certificates. There's usually a senior member of staff from the university who tells everyone how wonderful they are. So it really is a really positive programme. We've really had no negative feedback at all. Genuinely just get in touch. I always meet with employers before you can't just apply to it. The link's not anywhere on our website. You can find out a bit about it on our website, but you don't get sent the link until you've had a conversation with one of the team. So very happy to have just a conversation to discuss how it might work within each individual's business.
Awesome. And they'll be able to find you through the university, on LinkedIn, or in many a networking meeting around Aberdeen.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of networking, which wasn't a comfort zone when I started this job, but very much is now.
Oh, you're very good at it. Yeah, yeah.
I didn't.
So that brings me nicely on to Gayle. Okay, so you've been 25 years working in universities, so you must have a passion for education and employability.
Yeah, it's more the role. What happened was I did information library studies at RGU way back, graduated 1995. And then I'd worked in most of the libraries in Aberdeen as a student. So there was no jobs full time coming up in any of those libraries. And I wasn't sure I wanted to work in the library per se. So a job came up as a Careers Information Officer at Step Ahead, which is now Skills Development Scotland in Union Street. So I started there. I was there for 3 years and moved into a careers advisor role. And then I went actually to the University of Aberdeen. So I've worked there 3 times because I worked there in the library while I was a student, in the Queen Mother Library as was. I then worked there on a 2-year funded project, which was not student facing. So I didn't enjoy that. So then when the job came up at RGU as a careers advisor, I went for that. So I did start in community and then went into higher education. So always been interested in education, employability, working with people really. So then after 22 years, it was time for a change. I had some life changes at the same time. I got divorced, moved house, and just decided I couldn't prior to that. Three boys, worked part-time for a number of years, worked then full-time latterly, and just decided that having made some significant life changes, it was time for a third life change, and then moved into this role. Really happy to be working at another university. Everyone said, we're moving to the dark side and vice. But I'm definitely very positive about both universities. I had a really positive experience at both. Just a different role, a different setup, different team, different dynamics. I'm really enjoying the current role.
So it must be really satisfying students to develop themselves.
Absolutely.
I guess you're not so much student facing now, but in the previous role, coaching them to be better at, Yeah,
I love that. And the feedback that you got from appointments and the feedback that you got from students who then, because after every interaction with a student, if it was about a CV or a mock interview or just general guidance on their options, you'd say, let me know how you get on. And quite a number do. And some still do. I still see updates on LinkedIn and people get in touch. So that was really rewarding. So I did really enjoy that. And it took me a bit of time to consider not doing that frontline role. But after 22 years, it was time, I think, for a change. And I wasn't sure. And initially, actually, I went for this job at Aberdeen and didn't get it. So I went second interview. So that was really galling, because the team weren't sure I was ready to give up that student-facing side of it. And I guess maybe I wasn't at that time either, but by the second interview, I definitely was. And I now have a different sort of interaction with employers, so I really enjoy that as well. But I also enjoy, so for example, today I was filling in a spreadsheet and I was filling in employer feedback from the internships. My colleague Peter is dealing with the students on those internships, and I can see that feedback and see how the two correlate. And I'm thinking, wow, the employer's saying that the ex-student's fabulous and the ex-student's saying the employer's fabulous, and what a win. They're both doing really well. So I still get the student feedback. It's just maybe not as direct, but I can still see the impact that I'm having. And students will still engage with me. So LinkedIn's more of a thing now than it was when I was a careers advisor. So not many students would have linked in with me, but they are now. I think because of my role, because I have got quite a lot of contacts, certain savvy students certainly are aware of that. So there's quite a lot of engagement on LinkedIn and off it. It's not just playing the LinkedIn, the game of tagging and whatever. They are genuinely coming off LinkedIn and thanking me for certain things. I've just run a shadowing opportunity for insurance and financial services. That was a sort of pilot. And it's gone hugely well. Really good employers got involved. For example, AC Wealth, JC Wealth, they offered 6 students an opportunity. They took a whole day out of their team to run this opportunity. And one of the students from that just loved it and just to really now set her focus on what she wants to do with her career. So really good feedback from the different initiatives that I'm working on. Maybe not sitting in front of students directly, but ultimately we still get that feedback.
Usually it's business owners or business leaders I'm interviewing, and I ask them what they've learned about themselves on their journey. So it sounds like you've had a bit of learning about a bit of self-reflection in the changes in your career. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I think I've gone back to my roots of information. Advice. The careers advisor role at RGU is different from what it is at Aberdeen, because at RGU, more vocational, it was less advice. It was more information about practicalities of CVs, applications, cover letters, interview skills, etc. So there's more guidance involved at the University of Aberdeen. So I don't think I'd be a careers advisor there. A much better information role, which is what this role is about. And I think I've learned, certainly the last 2.5 years, I didn't do networking before. And I remember back to Step Ahead, I have got an ex-colleague who's still a friend after 30 years. And she was the business person. I was the community person. And I didn't want to venture into her world at all. I was like, no, you do your schmoozing, you do all your networking. I just can't do that. And I never really had to do it as part of my role at RGU either. So when I started this job, I realised that's a key part of it. So let's get a plan to do some networking. And the best example I can give actually is from Granite Expo that I met you at just last month. I went to that 2 years ago, and I literally, so basically when I go networking, it's for any of the opportunities. It could be shadowing, it could be to find a mentor, it could be a part-time job, it could be a volunteer role, a graduate position, anything. So really there's huge amount of scope from any employer. And I've learned now from networking that it's not maybe immediate. It's not maybe an immediate, oh, that ticks that box. It's a longer term goal and a connection, and it might not be a connection for me, it's for someone else. So I've learned that as well. I didn't know that at the start. So I walked into the room at Ardo House and I literally walked around the whole room. I looked at every stand. I didn't speak to anybody. And I just thought, no, nobody here is going to talk to me. Nobody wants to engage with my role, the university. I can't see any relativity here. And I stood in the foyer and I was going to leave. And I just thought, no, well, you've signed up for this today. Okay, I didn't pay for it. I could have just left. Some things you pay for that you might then grit your teeth more. But I just thought, no, it's okay, stay in a podcast, big girl pants on. And I went back into that room and I literally spoke to every single person. I was there for hours and I spoke to every single person, and there was value in every single person. And that was the biggest sort of shift in my thinking, because I just thought no matter what network it is, even if you talk to one person, but ideally if it's an event like that, you should ideally talk to them all. Ironically, this year I went and I had a dentist appointment, had an hour to get around the room, but I pretty much knew about 70% of the room. And again, that was a real test to say, wow, look how many connections I've made in the last 2 years. So I spoke to maybe the 30% and made sure that the new contacts I'd made. So yeah, I think I've learned a lot in that respect, just to come out of that comfort zone and that people are people. And I just used to be so scared of the networks, but actually it's all people. We're all similar. We've all got connections. We can all relate to each other in some capacity. It's just about finding that and not going in with, so the business side, it's just getting to know the person first and then building on that.
So the first time round, you assumed that this wasn't right for you.
Yeah.
And then you put on your big girl pants and went in and started talking to people. And when you get talking to people, it turns out there are opportunities, synergies, whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like a data company, you think, okay, that might have an opportunity, but it's a small company, maybe not for the university. But actually, the person on the stand was actually the chair of SCARF. So I was like, oh, would you like to recruit a volunteer? And there's always something. Once you get the backstory, you then go, oh, and then there's a connection, there's a light bulb, and you think, okay. So yeah, so I actually love networking now. And actually, if I've got a week with no networks, I'm like, oh goodness, I need to find one. So actually next week, the week before Christmas, there's 2 come up. And I'm like, okay, 19th of December, yeah, let's go for that. So good.
I guess it's probably ticking the box of the people facing we're
Yes.
getting from the students,
Yeah,
and now it's the businesses.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I did think about that for the role. I did move for a variety of reasons and I didn't expect that side of it, but that's a side that I love now. So actually, it's been the best move.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Now, I also wanted to, because I've been getting to know you, although actually we did meet many years ago
Yes.
in a different life, as at networking. It was networking in a way at the Grampian Twins Club,
That's
where
right.
we
Yeah,
always had toddler twins.
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Hard to
Yeah.
remember that stage, but yeah, 20-year-old now, but yeah.
Yeah, it might not be 21 New Year. Yeah. But I remember you because there were 2 boys running in completely opposite
Sure.
directions.
Yes,
We're
yes.
totally pulled. And yeah, and so those are the kind of things that you talk about in networking when you start to get to know somebody. And then I've seen you in lots of networking, various meetings from various different groups and whatever. And it turns out you do quite a bit of volunteering.
I do, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I've always volunteered. I was thinking back when I started, and I guess it's when I was a teenager back home in Fraserburgh. But I had no idea about charities at that point. It was within my circle of what I did. So I went to church. So then I volunteered at Sunday school. I went to guides. I volunteered in brownies. And then funnily, when I came to Aberdeen for uni, I then looked for something similar. So again, I went to a local church and I helped with brownies. And then over the years, because I had 3 boys, so my oldest son's 22 and I've got twins of 20. So everything was really volunteering alongside school stuff. It was all PTA and toddler groups and rising threes or whatever you called it, all the different things with kids. So I did a lot of that. I did Marie Curie. That's the one charity that I always got involved in throughout that period as well. I can't remember how that started and that connection, but it was always Marie Curie and then the sort of school stuff. And then the volunteering really started more so, actually part of this job, but prior to that, when I got divorced or separated initially, I was selling my house, the family home, and it took 7 months, which doesn't sound like a lot now, but at the time it was excruciating. So I was desperate to leave. It was COVID, it was 2021, and I just thought I need something other than dwelling on this house. I then signed up for Befriend a Child, and all the training was online. I took a 9-year-old boy out every second Sunday with a mask. We both had masks on initially. If I look back at photos, it's all masks. And also signed up for Borrow My Doggy. So I borrowed a very exuberant Cocker Spaniel, Luna, who I still borrow. She's part of our family now. That's when I started. But then when I got this job, so this kind of love of volunteering had started again. But then when I got this job, my manager had said to me, so we've got this project called Interns with Impact. And basically that's a 3-year funded project, finished now, funded by the Wood Foundation, that funded third sector organisations a 300-hour internship. So I got involved year 2 and year 3 and literally says, would you like to be involved? And it was like heaven on a plate. And it hadn't been discussed at my interview. I got told I'd be looking after the business school, arts and humanities, etc., the different schools, but no project was mentioned. So I was like, this is just amazing. So basically my role was to research local charities and some out with Aberdeen, basically to then approach them to ask if they would like a 300-hour funded summer intern. So I guess
it's a difficult ask, isn't it?
Exactly, literally
Biting your hand off.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it was just fabulous. And it just meant I found so many different charities that I had no idea existed in Aberdeen. So that was a fabulous insight. And I would love to volunteer with them all, but obviously time is tight. My priority alongside that, in terms of finding out certain charities, my priority is some of the cancer charities, because my dad sadly passed away 2 years ago, cancer. So I got good support from Maggie's and from Clan. So those are the kind of key ones that I do volunteer with. And then some of the kids ones as well. So Team Jack, which a lot of people don't know, is for children going through a cancer journey and their families. So I did Befriend a Child for a year, befriended a 9-year-old boy, then another year of a 9-year-old girl. And I wanted a bit more of a holistic experience, and that was for Team Jack. It was the families that come to Jack's Den. So I still volunteer with Team Jack. And then the others, it's really just as and when. So Maggie's, I'm doing the Carol concert tomorrow night at Midstocket. I do their golf day, their ball, sports challenge. So I get the calendar at the start of the year. And then I usually, if it's at the start of the year, I then take time off work if it's a golf day, for example. If it's a ball, it's an evening, it's a weekend. So I just fit it into my schedule. And I love it. I absolutely love it. And I really advocate volunteering to everyone. I've just set up a volunteering network for staff at the university, really just to spread that message. I've got a volunteering engagement intern at the university. I've got an intern for 6 months, and she's looking at the volunteer engagement piece for students, but there might be an element of staff as well. Yeah, I just love it. That's my hobby, I guess. I do other things. I walk, yoga, go to the cinema, I do normal stuff, but a lot of my, evenings, weekends. So this weekend I'm doing Charlie House, dressing up as an elf, Santa's workshop, Saturday morning, Sunday, it's Santa Paws. So dogs can come and see Santa. Yeah. And other charities that I've now got connections with, if they've got one-off events, All Life Chances, for example, had a quiz night. So it's a win. Again, it's a win-win because you get to go to events. I wouldn't pay to go to all these balls at all, but it means, okay, you're not sitting down in your fancy dress and having the food and whatever, but you still get fed, you get part of it, you see the entertainment, you're being part of the event, you're part of that cause, you're encouraging people to spend money, to donate, to make pledges. So it's a win all the way through.
I think charities have such a big part in our society, don't they? Because like you mentioned, like the cancer charities, because the NHS doesn't have the resources to do all the fluffy stuff on the side, let's say. So a lot of charities are there doing the supporting through in various areas. Befriend a Child, kids who are going through in difficult life circumstances or whatever. Schools aren't set up to do that. I'm a scout leader and I'm on the board of Business Beats Cancer Aberdeen, which we run a gala dinner fundraising for Cancer Research UK. So the fundraising is tough, but actually the impact that charities have are massive. So it must give you a lot of I was going to say job satisfaction, but it's not a job, but a lot of personal satisfaction to be involved in these things.
Absolutely. And Sunday it was Santa's breakfast for Team Jack, and there was dying of cancer at 78 was bad enough, but these are young kids. So there was a 3-year-old with a tube in her mouth, another 6-year-old with no hair, and you just think, wow, and they had a ball with Santa's breakfast. So just to see that impact. And that's why Team Jack was set up, because Jack died when he was 16, and he felt clinically he was well looked after, but it was the emotional and social support that was lacking. So that's why Team Jack exists. So, but it's so rewarding, and I've met so many good people. I keep forgetting about Tall Ships, actually. I must mention Tall Ships.
Oh, I hadn't forgotten Tall Ships.
I'm running through the list of all the different charities that I do regularly, but Tall Ships was a massive one-off. And so many, and actually it was life-changing, really, just in terms of confidence and in terms of just new contacts and just friends and rewards. It was absolutely fabulous. Again, it's a win all round. You meet good people, and the coordinators typically are so appreciative of your input. It's really nice to have that sort of warm feeling. They couldn't do these events without volunteers. So they're so grateful to have your input. And if they're not, then go elsewhere, because volunteer coordinators should value all volunteers. So,
So I wanted to ask you about the Tall Ships. Now, for anyone who's listening who's not from Aberdeen or Aberdeenshire, they're maybe not aware that the Tall Ships Festival would you call it? Is it festival? Aberdeen in the summer this year, currently. I've got my Christmas tree. It's December 2025, if anybody's wondering.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, so in the summer, and it had such an impact on our city, which is, they talk about the Abermoners, don't they? It's been a lot of people feeling a bit miserable about our city, and I think the Tall Ships was amazing. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. It's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. And I was involved all the way through. So I got involved at the University of Aberdeen. My boss came to me one day. Again, she came to me and said, oh, I've met this woman, Emma, and she'd be keen to the university to get involved in the Tall Ships. And Emma Waddy was the project coordinator for the whole thing, who's absolutely inspirational. She's now going to lead Glasgow Commonwealth. She's just a fabulous person. And I was like, okay, I'll have a chat with Emma. And the reason I got involved was for the University of Aberdeen to help recruit SAIL trainees and volunteers from the University of Aberdeen. But Emma, being Emma, and once you're on a committee, then you get involved in other things. So I then ended up taking on the volunteer event coordinator role to basically promote the whole Tall Ships event prior to it. So it was months of work, months of coordinating volunteers and months of events management. And I absolutely loved it. So that was out with the University of Aberdeen role. I had to do that in my own time. And then just being part of the whole 4 days, I was the PA for Doddy the dolphin. Many of maybe listeners will know Dylan Henderson, who's a massive volunteer, very well known in Aberdeen. And he and I just had an absolute ball. So leading Dory around but also looking after the volunteers. There was up to 300 volunteers in the volunteer centre, and the camaraderie was just fabulous. So yeah, it hopefully will be back 5 or so years. But
Well, I definitely hope so. Yeah, it brought such a vibrance to our city centre. Yeah. And I don't know the statistics, but yeah, it's all there about the benefit that Aberdeen and the areas had from that.
Yeah.
That 4-day event. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyone who thinks they don't have time to volunteer, what would you say to them?
Always time. So basically, it's about you looking at your diary, looking at your schedules, thinking, it's what do you do with your time? And obviously, we've all got our own interests and passions, but if there's a lot of, I don't know, internet and TV and whatever, think about what could be more rewarding, being out of an evening or a weekend. And it can be an hour or so. It doesn't have to be hours. Working at, for example, a ball, you are there from, I don't know, we were there from 6 till, I was there till 2 in the morning, but other things you can do an hour or two. So you work it around your schedule. I spoke to somebody at an event and their partner is been offered a law traineeship, and what's he going to do with this next year? And he doesn't think he can volunteer because it would be a sort of regular every week on this day. And that's not the case at all. It can be depending on the type of volunteering, but if it's fundraising and events, then these events happen at set times. They're organised well in advance. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, depends on the charity, the cause, just talk to charities, look at what their volunteering offer is, look at your schedule, and there's always going to be time. And the rewards are so impactful that it's worth giving up your time, getting off the internet, getting off the TV, doing other things. Do it with friends, do it with partners. I've got a new partner now, and the first thing he said when we first met was, oh, you do so much volunteering, how can I get involved? And that was music to my ears, because now he comes to events. So you can do things alongside, even your kids, take your family, take your mother, involve other people. Because a charity is not going to turn down volunteers if you bring others with you. Always time.
Really good message. Brilliant. Yeah. Bring others with you. I hadn't thought of that one. Yeah.
Even your dog sometimes, depending on what the event is.
Yes, I'm going to be having Marion from Pause on Plastic on the show soon. She's an
brilliant.
intern from you, and
Yes.
yeah, always looking for volunteers to gather litter there.
Absolutely.
All kinds of charities, aren't there?
Yeah. Haley was a fabulous intern. She was fabulous. We did a little video of Haley. She was fabulous. And Marion's great. And she's been on campus to recruit volunteers as well. She's come into our vault. We've got a volunteering fair on the 19th of February. So any charities listening, invites have gone out for that. But if you've not had an invite, then please get in touch. Very happy to have you.
Excellent. Gayle, yeah, you're a bit of a powerhouse, really. It's been really great to have you on the show. Is there anything I should have asked you that I didn't? Anything you want to add to the conversation?
No, I was listening to your normal questions about what would you tell your 18-year-old self and all this. And I didn't have an answer for that really, because I was such a different person then. And even, I don't know, even my 48-year-old self might not have listened, because I'm quite different now. Just having gone through life changes and again, career changes and just doing different. I honestly feel the last few years has been just, seen huge shifts. So going back to 18 seems ridiculous, but I think it's just about pushing out your comfort zone, just getting involved in new things, meeting new people. It's always how you grow. No, nothing. No, I think I've covered most things. Thank you.
Thank you. No, it's been a real pleasure to have you on, and I hope you will continue listening.
Oh, absolutely.
I've got a few interesting episodes in the can that have not been released yet, and lots happening on Skill Her Up over into next year. So
brilliant. I walked to work, so I've got 48, about a 38-minute walk, so usually it just fits in perfect. And then I get to work and do a wee review, so it works perfectly. So thank you. I look forward to those.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
I'll just find my outro message. Thank you for listening to Scale Her Up. If you enjoyed this episode, follow the show and leave a review. It helps more female business owners to find us. Come and join our Scale Her Up Facebook community to get support, accountability, and connection with other women who get it. And remember, only 1 in 3 UK entrepreneurs are female, and men are still 5 times more likely to scale their business beyond £1 million in turnover than women are. When we start and scale our businesses to the same extent as men, it's going to add 250 billion to the UK economy and create millions of jobs, And actually, the trickle effect down into lots of charities as well. The more money that's in society, the more the charities benefit as well. So, ladies, you can do it and your business can make a massive difference.